Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're really glad you could join us today.
Yeah, great to be here.
So we've got this really interesting set of sources you sent over, and they all seem to point towards something pretty new happening in, well, how we get out on the water.
Definitely looks like an evolution, maybe even a bit of a revolution.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is basically to unpack all of that for you. We want to pull out every key piece of info about this Wabeek watercraft and why it's popping up, especially at places like Motor City Paddle Club.
Right, give you the full picture.
Yeah, think of it as like the fast track to understanding what this Wabeek boat thing actually is. You know, what's clever about the design and why it seems to be such a big deal for, well, pretty much anyone who just wants to have some fun on the water, and also for the places that rent this stuff out.
It's hitting a sweet spot, it seems.
It really does. And as we get into it, you'll see this interesting mix, like a bit of nostalgia almost, but combined with some really cutting-edge tech.
Yeah, like the best of both worlds, maybe? Familiar but futuristic.
That's a good way to put it. So, okay, let's start digging into this.
Let's do it.
So first off, as we were looking through everything you shared, it kind of became clear that when people say Wabeek boat, it might not always mean the same thing.
Ah, okay, like there are different versions or meanings.
Exactly. It seems there were two, let's say, interpretations. Both are pretty compelling, actually, but distinct.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, how drone can mean a military aircraft or that little quadcopter you fly in the park.
Gotcha. So, two sides to this Wabeek coin.
Precisely. Let's tackle the first one, which seems to be the main focus, the sort of modern high-tech version.
Okay.
This is the one the sources describe as, and this is quite a claim, the world's most stable, portable, and modular electric watercraft.
Wow, okay. That's a big statement. Stable, portable, and modular, plus electric.
Right. It's not just tweaking an old design. It sounds like they really went back to the drawing board for, you know, personal watercraft.
So what makes it tick? What are the key features here?
Okay, let's break it down. First, the shape is really unique. It's a hexagon.
A hexagon. Okay, that's different. Not your usual boat shape.
Not at all. And we'll get into why that matters in a bit. Then there's the material. They call it military-grade drop stitch material.
Okay, military grade always sounds tough. Drop stitch. That's like what they use in those really rigid inflatable paddle boards, right?
Exactly. So super durable. But here's the kicker. Even with that tough material, it's described as having a feather-light design. It weighs only about 60 pounds.
60 pounds! Seriously, that's incredibly light for any kind of boat, especially one described as military grade.
I know, right? Think about lifting that. It's like a heavy suitcase, maybe less. But the really revolutionary part, it folds into a travel case.
It folds. Okay, now that's a game changer.
Totally. The sources make a big deal of this. No trailers, no stress, fits in your car trunk.
Wow. So the whole headache of trailering, finding a boat launch, eating a big vehicle that just evaporates.
Pretty much. It makes getting on the water suddenly seem, well, spontaneous. Like you could just decide on a whim to go.
That is a paradigm shift. Okay, what about power? You said electric?
Yep. It runs on a silent electric heartbeat. That's how they put it.
Poetic, but practically speaking, that means an electric motor, battery-powered.
Exactly. Likely a brushless DC motor, lithium-ion batteries, that sort of thing. Super quiet, zero emissions, none of that gas engine noise or fumes.
And probably pretty low maintenance compared to a gas outboard.
You'd think so. Plus, you know, just plug it into charge. The sources say it's a sleek, portable, and modular floating fun zone. That phrase kind of sums it up.
A fun zone. I like that. Modular implies you can connect them, maybe.
We'll definitely get to that. But, crucially, they also emphasize safety. It meets U.S. Coast Guard boat safety design standards.
That's important, especially if they're targeting families or first-timers.
For sure. So you have this thing that's, like they say, light as air, strong as a rock. Seems contradictory, but that's where the engineering comes in.
Yeah, that drop stitch material really is key to that paradox.
Yeah.
You mentioned it, and it's worth digging into a bit more. It's not just thick plastic.
Right. It's more complex.
Definitely. Imagine 2 layers of tough woven fabric, like a super strong polyester. And connecting these 2 layers are thousands, literally thousands, of tiny, high-tensile threads.
Okay, for like internal stitching.
Exactly. When you inflate it, and we're talking high pressure, like 10, maybe even up to 20 psi.
Much higher than, say, an air mattress.
Oh, way higher. Those threads pull completely taut. And that tension transforms the whole structure from something flexible into something incredibly rigid, almost like a solid board.
Ah, okay, so that's how it gets the strength.
Precisely. It gives it that rock-solid feel, resists punctures, handles bumps and scrapes. It's why you see it in serious gear like rescue rafts or high-end paddle boards. But the genius is, let the air out, and all that rigidity vanishes. The threads relax, the fabric layers collapse, and you can fold it right up.
So is that combination rigid when you need it, foldable when you don't?
Exactly. That's the core innovation that overcomes that old trade-off. Usually you had to choose portable or rigid. The Wabeek seems to deliver both, which, removes huge barriers for people wanting to get on the water, and for businesses too, thinking about storage and transport.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So that's the modern high-tech Wabeek. But you said there was another interpretation.
Right, the other side of the coin.
Yeah, this one feels a bit more, I don't know, traditional, rooted in local history, maybe.
Yeah,
The sources mention the classic Wabeek boat.
classic Wabeek. Okay.
And this term seems to be used more when talking about just, good old-fashioned boating on Wabeek Lake.
Hmm.
It evokes a more nostalgic picture.
So less about the cutting edge tech and more about like a traditional lake boat.
Sort of. But interestingly, even this classic version might still use modern materials like that drop stitch stuff.
Ah, so maybe bridging the gap a bit.
Possibly. It's described as embracing familiar boat aesthetics,
Hmm.
maybe a more conventional shape, perhaps, not the hexagon.
Okay, so it looks more like what people might expect a small boat to look like.
Yeah, it can kind of respect that feeling of how things have always been done, but maybe quietly uses some newer tech to make it lighter or tougher or easier to handle.
Elevated by modern tech, as the source said.
Exactly. It's like taking, a trusty old rowboat concept, but giving it a modern upgrade without losing that simple, useful feel. The familiarity is probably key there. It doesn't look intimidating.
Right, it feels approachable.
But still better than the actual old rowboat might have been.
It's actually quite clever how the modern hexagon Wabeek seems to build on that traditional idea, even while it looks so different.
How do you mean?
Well, the core idea of a simple, lightweight, easy-to-use boat for enjoying a local lake that's timeless, right?
Yeah.
People have always wanted that.
Sure. Hassle-free water access.
Exactly. So what the Wabeek designers did, it seems, was take that fundamental desire and just supercharge it with modern engineering. The hexagon shape, for example. It's not just weird, it's about achieving a level of stability that those classic, often narrower boat shapes just couldn't easily provide.
Ah, so they took the spirit of the traditional boat, sturdy, reliable, but achieved it in a totally new way.
Precisely. They leverage those traditional concepts of robustness and stability, but through innovative design, not just copying old forms. It aims for that same feeling of security, but without all the weight, the maintenance, the trailer, all those traditional headaches.
Making it accessible to more people.
Exactly. It kind of democratizes that classic boating feeling. It makes it less daunting, more approachable, just like those old simple lake boats were meant to be, but, way more convenient and arguably better performing.
That's a great way to look at it, honoring the past while really pushing forward. Okay, so we've kind of established what the Wabeek is in its different forms. Now let's really get into the why it's so special, the engineering bits that make the modern one stand out.
Right, the how it works part.
Yeah. Moving beyond just description to function. And top of the list, according to the sources, is that stability.
The hexagon advantage.
Right. They explicitly say it's down to the patented hexagon design, giving it unmatched balance on water. And they're serious about this. They list several patents pending.
Which signals real specific innovation, not just marketing fluff. Those patent numbers mean they've likely identified something genuinely novel in the geometry or construction related to that stability.
Exactly. Things like design patents for the shape itself, maybe utility patents for how the drop stitch works within that shape to create that rigidity and foldability. It shows some deep engineering thought went into this.
Yeah.
And the result is, they say, it's perfect for families, kids, and first-time riders. You can just picture the confidence boost that gives someone who's maybe a bit wary of the water.
Oh, absolutely. That hexagon design is the foundation of its stability and its smart engineering. Think about structures in nature, a honeycomb, right? Hexagons are incredibly strong and distribute forces really efficiently.
Okay, so nature got there first.
Pretty much. Applied to a boat, that hexagon base means you've got weight, and any sideways forces, like waves or people moving around, spread across 6 points on the water. It's inherently wider and more stable than, say, a V-hull or even a simple flat bottom, which can rock or tip more easily.
Each side acts like a mini pontoon almost.
That's a great analogy. It provides stability in multiple directions, and this directly tackles one of the biggest fears people have about small watercraft, especially beginners.
The fear of tipping over.
Exactly. That anxiety about instability, falling in, it's a huge barrier. The Wabeek's shape is designed to basically minimize that right from the start. You step onto it, it feels solid. That builds confidence immediately.
Reducing the stress, making it more fun from the get-go.
Precisely. It lowers that psychological barrier significantly, making water sports accessible to way more people. It's not just looks, it's smart design for a better, less anxious experience.
Okay, so stability is huge. Then, layered on that is the portability we touched on. That folding into a travel case thing.
Revolutionary portability.
The whole no trailers idea.
Yeah.
It's hard to overstate how much that changes things.
It really is. Think about traditional boating. You need a tow hitch, you need to be comfortable driving with a trailer, you need space to store the trailer, and boat.
You need specific boat ramps, which might be crowded or have fees.
Right. It's a whole commitment. The Wabeek approach just removes all that friction.
So a spontaneous trip to some small lake you discovered, totally doable now. Toss it in the trunk of pretty much any car, and you're off.
It opens up so many more possibilities for where and when you can go. It's not just for people with trucks and garages anymore. That 60-pound trunk-size package really does democratize access.
Makes sense.
And think about it from the business angle, especially for rentals like Motor City Paddle Club. The logistics are completely different.
How so? More than just easier for the customer.
Oh, much more. For the owner, it's spontaneity. For a rental business, it's massive flexibility and efficiency. Imagine storing a fleet of 20 rigid kayaks versus 20 Wabeeks folded in their cases. The space saving is enormous.
Right, lower storage costs, easier handling.
Exactly. And crucially, the sources mention Motor City Paddle Club doing pop-up paddle events, say at Weber Paddle Park.
Yeah.
How do you do that easily with traditional boats?
It'd be a huge hassle, transporting them all.
Precisely. But with Wabeeks, you could probably fit a dozen in a standard van. Drive to the location, inflate them quickly, run your event, deflate, pack up, and leave. Minimal fuss, minimal infrastructure needed.
So they can bring the rentals to the people, almost anywhere there's water access.
That's the key. It lets them be incredibly agile, reach new locations, maybe underserved areas, and drastically cut down on their transport and storage costs. It makes offering rentals much more viable and flexible for them.
Which, in turn, means more options and convenience for us, the renters.
Exactly. It all feeds back to better accessibility for the end user.
Okay, so stability, portability, and then there's the third big thing, modular connectivity, the fun zone idea.
Ah, yes, linking them together.
Yeah, the sources talk about connecting multiple Wabeeks so you can create these floating fun zones or floating gangways.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool, like building your own little island.
Right. It takes it beyond just individual paddling. It becomes a shared space. The sources say it harkens back to childhood dock days, building rafts and stuff. You can literally build your own social platform on the water.
That is genuinely innovative for personal watercraft. Most boats are designed for solo use, or a fixed number of people in set seats. This completely changes the dynamic.
Making it more social.
Definitely. Think about how that enhances the experience. A family wants to hang out together, maybe have snacks on the water, link up a few Wabeeks. Friends want a stable platform to chat or sunbathe. Done.
You could probably even do something like group yoga on linked Wabeeks.
Potentially, yeah. Or a really stable fishing platform. Or just a safe, contained area for kids to play while the adults are right there. For a rental place like Motor City Paddle Club offering these flotilla-style adventure zones, as the source calls them.
That's a huge selling point for groups, parties, team events.
Absolutely. It creates a unique value proposition. It's not just renting a boat, it's renting a shared, customizable experience. It fosters that communal feeling, makes it more memorable, that heartwarming, cohesive, clever aspect the sources mention. That's gold for creating positive rental experiences people will talk about.
Yeah, it shifts it from just transport to a destination in itself.
Okay, so the product itself is clearly innovative, but what about the story behind it? Where did this idea even come from?
Always interesting to know the origin story. Right. And this one starts, apparently, with a pretty relatable problem. Just one man and two boys looking for a watercraft.
Okay, a personal quest.
Yeah, and they had a really specific checklist. They wanted something safe, stable, easy to use, quiet, emission-free, and sustainable. A tall order.
Very. Especially a few years ago, finding something that ticked all those boxes would have been tough.
Exactly. The source says they looked, and basically nothing checked all the boxes. That frustration, that gap in the market they felt personally, that seems to be where Wabeek started.
That makes sense. So often, the best innovations come from solving a real problem you're experiencing yourself. It wasn't just a market research exercise. It was driven by a genuine need.
Right. Safety for the kids, ease of use, being quiet and eco-friendly, those priorities forced them to think differently.
And that led them to look in unusual places for inspiration.
Apparently so. The sources mentioned drawing inspiration from nature and principles of aviation engineering.
Nature and aviation. Interesting combo for a boat.
Isn't it? But that cross-pollination led to the big breakthrough, discovering the strength and balance of the hexagon.
Ah, back to the hexagon. So they saw that shape's efficiency in nature, maybe combined it with structural ideas from aerospace.
And that sparked the birth of Wabeek. It's a great example of how connecting ideas from different fields can lead to something completely new.
It really is taking a problem, looking broadly for solutions, and finding that key insight.
And it seems their vision always went beyond just making a cool boat. The sources emphasize it's more than a ride. It's a new way to connect, share, explore, and relax on the water.
So focusing on the experience, the human connection.
Yeah. And being based in Michigan, nestled in the heart of Michigan's water wonderland, they talk about wanting to enhance the community's quality of life. Sounds like it's about more than just selling units. It's about fostering these positive experiences around water.
Building community through shared fun.
Exactly.
Yep.
Which brings us right back to Motor City Paddle Club, because this is where all that innovation becomes something you can actually experience.
Right, the practical application for listeners.
Yeah. This connection between Wabeek and Motor City Paddle Club seems like a really perfect match. Let's break down exactly why it works so well for a rental place.
Okay.
First, that stability we keep talking about. For rentals, that's huge. It's great for guests trying paddle and watercrafts for the first time.
Absolutely critical. If someone's first time on the water is scary or unstable, they're probably not coming back.
Right. But if they feel secure on the Wabeek right away, it builds confidence, makes it fun.
And for the rental operator, that means happier customers, fewer incidents, maybe less hand-holding needed from staff. It just makes the whole operation smoother and encourages repeat business. That trust factor is key.
Then there's that look, invitingly old school but performs like the future.
The aesthetic appeal, yeah.
It doesn't look intimidatingly space age, maybe.
Yeah.
It looks kind of friendly, but then it surprises you with how well it works. The electric drive, the portability.
That blend is really smart marketing, actually. It appeals to different people. Some like the classic vibe, others want the modern tech. Wabeek seems to cater to both.
So Motor City Paddle Club can attract a wider range of customers with just this one type of craft.
Exactly. It lowers the intimidation factor, but delivers high performance, best of both worlds for their customer base.
And then the portability again. We talked about the business advantages, easy storage, transport.
Especially for those pop-up events like at Weber Paddle Park, that flexibility is crucial.
Right. But how does that help me, the customer, specifically?
Because it means Motor City Paddle Club can offer rentals in more places more often. They aren't tied to one dock. They can bring the Wabeeks to festivals, community events, different parks, wherever there's water.
So more convenient locations, maybe closer to home or where I happen to be.
Exactly. It removes geographical barriers for you. It makes renting easier and more spontaneous because the rentals can come to you, in a sense.
Okay, that makes sense. More access. And finally, that modular, expandable fun.
The flotilla zones.
Yeah. Being able to link them up, that's not just neat. It's a major draw for groups, right? Families, friends, parties.
Huge draw. It transforms the rental from individual boats into a shared social platform. That heartwarming, cohesive, clever aspect creates a completely different kind of experience.
More interactive, more memorable.
Absolutely. People can stay together, chat, share food, keep an eye on kids easily. It offers something unique that most other rental craft can't. It encourages group bookings and makes the whole outing feel more special.
So it really does seem like a perfect fit for a place like Motor City Paddle Club.
Yeah.
The stability, the look, the portability, the group fun. It ticks all the boxes for a great rental experience.
It really seems to.
And here's the key takeaway for you listening. Motor City Paddle Club Kayak Rentals doesn't just rent these out. They're also an official Wabeek dealer.
Ah, so you can try before you buy, essentially.
Exactly. So if you're hearing all this and thinking, wow, I need to try this, or even, man, I want one of these, there's a super easy way. The sources are crystal clear. Come rent one. Book them online at https://www.motorcitypaddleclub.com.
Straightforward. Rent one, see if you love it, maybe even buy one from the same place.
Yep. Makes it really accessible to jump into this new way of enjoying the water. Okay, so beyond just trying or buying one, let's touch on a few more practical details and maybe look at the bigger picture here.
Sure.
Availability and price. The sources mention two models specifically, Wabeek Key West and Wabeek Mackinac.
Okay, different model names. Any difference mentioned?
Not explicitly in what we have, but the interesting thing is the price. Both are listed at $1,499.
$1,500. Okay. How does that stack up in the market?
Well, that's a good question. What do you think that price point signifies for this kind of product? Electric, portable, modular?
You know, for what it offers, electric propulsion, that patented stability, the drop stitch build, the extreme portability, the modularity, $1,500 actually seems pretty competitive.
Really? Compared to what?
Well, think about high-end kayaks or paddleboards. Non-electric ones can easily cost $1,000 or more. Then consider small electric dinghies or trolling motors plus batteries. It adds up fast. And traditional small boats. The total cost of ownership with trailers, storage, maintenance, fuel, it's way, way higher.
So the Wabeek offers a lot of advanced features and convenience at a price that's actually quite accessible in comparison.
I think so. It lowers the entry barrier to powered, stable water recreation significantly. And like we said, being able to rent one first through Motor City Paddle Club makes it even less of a leap of faith for potential buyers.
Good point. Try it for, what, maybe $1,500 for a few hours before committing $1,500. Makes sense. And it's not just the boat itself, right? The company seems to offer a lot of support.
Yeah, the sources mentioned a whole list: warranty care guides, storage tips.
Right. Liability releases, refund policy, shipping info, FAQs, help with boat registration, even a referral program.
That's pretty comprehensive. It suggests they're thinking about the whole ownership experience, not just the initial sale.
Makes them feel more legit, more supportive. And they provide contact info, email, phone, even a physical address in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
All signs of a company planning to be around for a while and stand behind their product.
So it feels like, as one source said, it's not just a product, it's a complete experience backed by a company that's thinking ahead.
And that comprehensive approach, combined with the product's nature user-friendly, sustainable, accessible, it really could have a wider impact, don't you think?
How so? Beyond just more people having fun.
Well, yeah, it makes boating more inclusive, less intimidating. But think about waterfront planning, too. If lots of people start using portable craft like this, maybe we don't need as many huge marinas or traditional boat launches.
Could it change how cities design access to rivers or lakes?
Possibly. If access becomes simpler, needing just a bit of shoreline rather than major infrastructure, maybe waterfronts become more integrated, more accessible parks. It encourages thinking differently about how we interact with these natural spaces.
So, the Wabeek isn't just a boat. It's potentially a catalyst for rethinking water access and maybe even fostering that community connection they talked about, making it easier and cleaner.
It could be. It certainly prompts us to think about making water fun simpler, more sustainable, and more communal. Like packing a picnic, but for the lake.
Let's Wabeek, as their slogan seems to imply. It's about a shift in mindset. Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, we've covered a lot of ground.
We really have.
We look at that dual meaning of Wabeek boat, the modern electric hexagon, versus the more traditional idea. We really dug into the engineering, that crucial stability from the hexagon shape, the game-changing portability, and the cool modular aspect for group fun.
The core innovations.
And we saw why it's such a perfect fit for Motor City Paddle Club, making rentals easier for them, and, more importantly, better and more accessible for you, the customer. Plus, knowing you can rent or buy from them is key.
Making it super easy to experience.
Exactly. It really does seem to deliver on that promise of making it simpler to connect, share, explore, and relax on the water.
It's definitely an intriguing development. And maybe it leaves us with a final thought to chew on.
Oh, go for it.
Well, how might innovations like this, like the Wabeek, do more than just change how we individually experience the water? Could they actually reshape our whole relationship with rivers and lakes? Making them more accessible, sure, but maybe also fostering a greater sense of shared ownership and responsibility towards them, precisely because they're easier for everyone to enjoy sustainably.
Hmm. Democratizing access leads to greater stewardship.
Perhaps. And it makes you wonder what other traditional activities, things we've always done a certain way, could be completely reimagined using these kinds of principles, modularity, sustainability, user friendliness, drawing inspiration from nature, and smart engineering. Where else could that kind of thinking lead?
That's a great question to ponder. What's the next Wabeek waiting to be invented? Food for thought, definitely.